Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. I can speak human words. It's a good deal, helps with the show, and you can get your sweet Ikoria cards and swag there. What's up, Planeswalkers 36? Back with some more Ikoria spoilers. We're just going to hop right into it. We're starting off with a reprint of a card that I think is pretty interesting. Fertilid is a 3-mana, 0/0 creature, but it enters the battlefield with 2/1/1 counters on it. You essentially can rampant growth using its counters. So you pay 1 and a green, remove a counter from it, target player searches their library for a basic land card, puts on the battlefield tap, then shuffles your library. That is, in essence, what rampant growth does. But what I want to point out here, which is kind of a through line from the previous episode, target player. Wizards, I know this is a reprint, but I want more cards like this, where I get to choose. Regardless, do I think this is going to go into any interesting decks right now? Not really. There are some 1/1 counter theme stuff going on in the new set. There's already some cards in standard, in Simic especially, that care about counters, can put extra counters on things. So there might be something interesting here. Obviously, you have the Simic assistant thing that makes it so your activated abilities of creatures or something costs some amount less to cast. So you do have things like that. But in general, I'm not sure how much this is going to see play in standard. In limited, it's a pretty fine card. You know, it's a Hill Giants. Hill Giants? No. It's a Grey Ogre, sorry. It's a Grey Ogre that allows you to thin your deck, and that actually matters a little bit more in limited. Dranith Magistrate. Now, we already know I've been playing some Death and Taxes in Historic. I play it in Modern. I play it technically in Legacy. I play that in EDH. This is a 2-mana 1/3. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. First of all, this says your opponents. This means you're not affected. If I want to play this in Commander, and I have it out, I can still cast my Commander from the command zone. My opponents cannot. Additionally, it means that your opponents can't cast copies of spells. If a spell just gets copied and they put it onto... Jesus, why did I sign out? For some reason, YouTube signed out, and it made things louder. If the copies go, directly on the stack, whatever. Can't cast cards from graveyards. This means no Explore, no Flashback, although that doesn't matter right now. It also means they can't cast it from exile. So your adventure cards, bye-bye. My adventure cards, still good. I have no idea if this is actually going to be playable in Standard, because I don't know the extent to which you're going to care about these abilities. However, I do love this card as just an additional tax card that can at any point be used, in the right format circumstances in Modern or Legacy. If Cascade becomes a super annoying deck at some point, if you're just really sick of playing against Hogek's gone now, so that's not as good, but whatever. You're able to do some stuff, and I love it. Nope. Odd the Evens. It's a good old-fashioned 4-mana sorcery. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature with a converted mana cost of the chosen parity. Now, I am not sure if this is the black board wipe we're looking for. In some ways, it's better than Ritual of Soot. In some ways, it's worse. Ritual of Soot can hit 0, 1, 2, and 3. Technically, 0 doesn't matter all that much. And obviously Nissa's around, so sure, for what it's worth, it does hit that. 1s and 3s, it can hit. 2s is just the one here. But depending on the way that the metagame shapes up, this could be fine. And it sounds weird to say, but for black right now, the board wipes are all going to leave something. We don't have a damnation. They're all going to leave something. Ritual of Soot is going to leave everything bigger than 3 CMC. Cry the Canarium is going to leave everything that has bigger than 2 toughness. So it really is just which of these board wipes is best for my needs. And I think this is probably pretty decent for a number of reasons. The main one being, this does not cost double black. The fact that this doesn't cost double black is immense. The deck building restriction makes it, the decreasing of the deck building restriction makes it a lot more splashable. So if you're playing Esper control, for example, but your black splash is really limited, and you're running multiple, Dream Trawler, sure, it's a 6 mana card, but white, blue is still a cost. This allows you to play. White doesn't work, I realize, because I have Shadow of the Sky. I guess it would have to be like for Grixis, which is what I'm trying to beat around the bush for. This is decent in Grixis. I'm probably going to try it in Grixis. Okay, that's what everyone wanted to hear. Whatever. Neutralize is a new spell. It's cancel with cycling. Usually, counter spells where you can get some sort of value by them not being good is fine. Is this going to see play? So it's not going to see play in Esper because Absorb exists. There's also Thought Collapse and Didn't Say Please. However, those serve very specific decks. There's Mystical Dispute, but that is more limited in scope. This is a hard counter. That's a soft counter. I think that... Oh, and we also have Ionize. That is fair. Something I do need to recognize. I think that if you're playing a blue deck that doesn't play white or red... Oh, never mind. Sinister Sabotage is still around. Until Sinister Sabotage is gone, I don't see this card being played. I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe still, right? Because like Sabotage gives you the Surveil, which is absolutely fantastic. But if you're playing like just blue-black... Oh, you can't even play blue-green because you have Flash Fish. So blue-white, no. Blue-red, no. Blue-black, probably. Blue-green, no. So really, I'm kind of seeing this in just like blue-black control, and I think there has an easy spot. Boon of the Wishgiver, 6 mana sorcery, draw 4 cards, cycling 1. So this is one of those cards that has potential because of the fact that it's cycling, and it's cycling so cheap. If you're a control deck, you really want to be like in control mirrors. You want to hard stomp the opposing control player by drowning them in card advantage, and this card could do that. The fact that it's sorcery makes it a lot worse, but we'll not talk about that just yet. But you don't want a expensive draw card in the aggro matchup, because there you're not winning by card advantage. You're winning because you have stemmed the bleeding long enough to have some sort of wall, right? Some sort of way of continually stopping the bleeding going forward. And the fact that this cycles for only 1 means that you're going to be able to replace it in those bad matchups. Now, that said, the fact that this is a sorcery means that I think it's just not good enough to see play in Standard, but I could be wrong, depending on the dichotomous nature of control and aggro. Right now, we're seeing a lot of super annoyingly solid mid-range decks in the form of ramp decks, so I don't expect this is going to see play in Standard. By the way, I've put the music super low, and I can't even hear it myself, but I'm hoping it's sufficiently loud for everyone else. Skull Prophet, 2 mana, 3/1, human druid, add a black or a green, put the top 2, tap to add a black or green, or put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. I love this card so much. It's a ramp spell. It's not a ramp spell, really. It's a mana dork that for some reason is aggressively statted. This thing has a big fist and a tiny ass. So it's very strange. But the fact that you can repeatedly put more cards in your graveyard, I think, is just fantastic. It fuels it fuels Escape. And just generally speaking, I like the card. I'm going to try and put it in Muldrotha. However, Brawl only gives me 59 slots. Wizards, give us Commander on Arena so I can finally play extra cards that I want to play. I mean, this is also just decent in a Sultai Reanimator deck. I believe the Reanimator card in, or the Reanimator colors in Ikoria seem to be Abzan. So, you know, it remains to be seen if we're going to be shifting that away from blue. But I think most of the cards... Yeah, most of the cards that put nonsense into your graveyard right now are black-green. So I think that moving away from blue is not a big deal at all. You miss out on Tome Scout or Tome Lich, Tomebound Lich. You'll lose out on Agent of Treachery, which is one of the biggest reanimation targets. You lose out on a few things like that. But let's see, if you're switching to white, we'll have to see what else white brings. Obviously, we do have the Necra thing that I'll get to in a bit, but I'll be interested to see. I do think that this adds to potential reanimated strategies in Standard. If nothing else, you can put in Historic Dredge, where you'll have a more consistent way of just putting nonsense into your yard. Chittering Harvester is a 6-mana 4/6 nightmare. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent sacrifices a creature. It mutates. Cost is 5 mana. It's fine. It's fine. It's one of those good limited ones. You know, decent body. If you can mutate under it, so that you're getting the sacrifice plus whatever other effect you put on it. 6 mana for a 4/6, not great, but the fact that it has that extra stuff, I think makes it a little bit worth it in sealed. Probably not draft. I'm trying to get better at recognizing formats and stuff. Recognizing good things in limited, especially. General Kudro. So we saw... Oh, I didn't show those last time. So I'm showing the Commander spoilers today, because I decided to change things slightly. I have, I think, 5 Mythic Spoiler cards that I didn't include last time, but it's fine. General Kudro, I assume, is the dad of one of the other people. It's a 3-mana 3/3 legendary creature human soldier. Other humans you control get +1/+1. Okay. Whenever Kudro or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. This is just a 3-mana 3/3 Lord that ETBs and removes something from your opponent's graveyard. Even if there aren't a bunch of graveyard-centered stuff in this set, in Ikoria, this is fantastic for current Standard, because it eats away at the value of Uro. Excuse me. Additionally, this card works amazingly well with Hero of Precinct 1, because Hero cares about multicolored spells. This is a multicolored creature. Hero makes human soldiers, not just soldiers, human soldiers specifically. This cares about humans. It is great. 2 mana, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. As I just said, Hero Precinct 1 makes human soldiers. The fact that you're going to be able to, like, you know, hit your opponent's hand, hit your opponent's small creatures, hit your opponent's planeswalkers with your multicolored spells, and then from the creature tokens generated from Hero, which, by the way, are going to be 2/2s at this point, and Hero's going to be a 3/3, you can then use those to deal with your opponent's big creatures. I think that's fantastic. Are we going to see a humans deck in Standard? Probably. I feel like there's something in Black-White X, whether it's going to be Esper or Abzan, I'm not sure. I guess technically it could be Mardu. It could be Mardu. I don't know. I'd lean more on things like Esper and Abzan, but it definitely could be Mardu. Either way, I think it's going to be close. If it's not there, I think it's going to be close. And it really just depends on how many humans, I can't actually recall, are like already in there in Standard. Phase Dolphin is a 3-mana 1/4. Whenever Phase Dolphin attacks another target attacking creature, can't be blocked this turn. What's interesting is that it says when it attacks another target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. It doesn't say attacking creature you control. Now, obviously, if it's, you know, if you control it, typically speaking, in the majority of circumstances, you're not able to target anything but your stuff. But in Two-Headed Giant, this works. I just thought I'd point it out. Generally speaking, though, put two of these together, both of them are going to be able to be unblockable. That's cool. If you are in limited, and you essentially can just hold this back as a blocker, as a 1/4 blocker, until you get your big Chungus out, and then you attack with this and your big Chungus. This gets blocked and dies. Who cares? You got your Chungus through. So, Insatiable Hemophage is a 4-mana 3/3 Nightmare. Death Touch. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the number of times the creature is mutated. And in mutate, it's only for 3, right? That's not terrible mutate cost. It's eating a goat, which is it's a Chupacabra. Oh, it's a Chupacabra. It's like actually a Chupacabra though. Oh wait, we have Chupacabras. Are they called? What are the creature types? Beast Horrors. Okay, this is a Nightmare. I feel like it could have been a Beast Nightmare. Made it similar to the other Chupacabras, but as a goat, like, I feel like this was on purpose. Because, like, the Chupacabra, like, drains the blood out of goats. That has to be on purpose. Regardless, I think this is a fine card. Valiant Rescuer is a 3-mana 3/1. That's a Lost Leonin? Leonin the Sixth Pride? That's what it is. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Sure, also has cycling for 2. That's fine. This card is probably one of the less good cards, I suspect. Well, my assumption is that there's going to be a human, a white-black human theme in Limited. And depending on how many decent cycling cards are in that theme, this is probably fine. Migration Path. 4 mana for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library, cycling 2. This is very similar to a card like Explosive Vegetation. Explode Veg. Search your library up to 2 basic land cards, put on the battlefield tapped. Blah blah blah. Cool. The difference being, you have cycling on this, so it's kind of just an upgrade. For some reason, I thought Explosive Vegetation was an instant, which wouldn't make sense. Okay, well, if you play Explosive Vegetation in your commander decks, you might want to play this as well. You might want to replace Explosive Vegetation, but regardless, this is pretty cool. Once you get to the late game where you have all of the mana that you need, that's something I should mention. One of the potential issues in ramp decks is that at some point you want to stop drawing your lands in your ramp and you want to start drawing your gas. If you've already ramped, you can cycle this and hope to find some gas. Oh, goodness me. This is why I wanted to not do any scans, but I was like, I don't want to confuse myself. Breach the Barrier. 3 mana for an instant, exile up to 3 target enchantments. 3. Cycling 2. This is a fantastic commander card. The fact of the matter is, right, this doesn't destroy artifacts or enchantments, doesn't destroy artifacts and enchantments. So if you're playing certain color combinations, you're better off just playing something else in this slot. Green-white has great artifact enchant removal. Green-red has some okay things. But red does really well at destroying artifacts, so I feel like in that you don't need the overlap as much. But the thing is, right, it doesn't destroy them. It exiles them. Gods, bye-bye. This is just like, nah. Just say nah to the gods. Who needs them? And it's an instant, which is great. It's decent cost, 3 mana. You're getting up to 3 enchantments is fantastic. And then, of course, you can just, if you're in a pod, an EDH pod, where there's just no one playing enchantments right now, it's artifacts is just like what's on the board, you can just cycle it. And I love that. I love cycling. I wasn't going to show any of these as mains since we don't have what it actually looks like. We don't have Zilortha. But I wanted people to see it. It's the home monster. Is cool. 5 mana for a 7/3. That seems not great. Trample. Lethal damage. This is so stupid. Lethal damage dealt to creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness. So we've, for a long time, had cards where the toughness essentially becomes the power. I'm certain that this is not the first time power has essentially become the toughness, but this is the one that I know of at this point. And I think that's cool. I like that they're finally kind of doing more of the other side of that whole Arcady Sabbath type thing. I can't think of that many creatures that this benefits right now. I mean, because in general, I think that creatures' power and toughness are usually about equal. You know, technically this means that in Historic, a Carnage Tyrant has to get dealt 7 damage instead of 6. Sure. But still, I think it's pretty interesting. This is the Bio Box promo. My assumption with this is... Wait. I don't know. I assume, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that Zalortha, the normal one, you can get in packs, but this is the Bio Box promo? Or is the promo this and a normal version? Because this would be the first time a Bio Box promo is like available to open in packs, right? But besides the collector's boosters, I don't count those because they're not real. If so, that would be very interesting. Don't know. Gem Razor. Love this art. Svetlin, great job. 4 mana for a Reach Trample 4/4. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls, and mutate cost is 1 green. If you have a 2-drop in play, you can buff them up for just 3, and you get to blow up an artifact enchantment. Fantastic. I love that it's a beast. The only issue is that I play Mael, and I need 5/5s, please. This is the sweet comic art. And this is the Kaiju. Angurious Armored... I don't know anything about these things, man. Sure. I like this card. Crystalline Giant is a 3-mana artifact giant. 3/3. I don't like how it's looking at me. Like... It's doing the slob squat. And it's just like mean mugging you. Like, look at this. I'm pretty sure like those look like its eyes. And then like it has a little nose here. And then like it has a zigzag mouth. And it's just mean mugging you doing the slob squat. Like, what's up? What are you going to do? This is my turf. And I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Regardless, at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose Flying, First Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, Vigilance, or a +1/+1 counter at random. Or +1/+1 at random. Put a counter of that kind on Crystalline Giant. Now, this card has stirred up a little bit of a tiny uproar in the Magic community because this card, easy to do in Arena. Super easy. The system does it for you. Not as easy to do in paper. Also, if you don't have the counters, it's going to be annoying to track. That said, I don't care. There's the Mecha Godzilla, I assume is what that is. Wait, can you all see that? I just have to make sure that you can see, because I'm over here. I'm gonna do this. There we go. Because this is technically the normal version. But we have Neth. I'm just now trying to pronounce this card. I haven't tried before now. Nethroy? Nethwara? I mean, that's French for king. So I assume this is meant to be like the king of death, like the king of nothingness here. Nethroy. I assume it's supposed to be Roy. Apex of Death. Just look at that art. Look at that art. This is like one of the times where I actually like the kaiju art just as much as the normal art. For the most part, the reason I don't like the kaiju ones is because like it looks too obviously like modern, like it's a thing from cinema. They have like fighter jets and stuff. But this one I really like, and I could actually see this as being a Magic card. But the comic art style or whatever, oh, it's crisp. It's so crisp looking. I mean, not to take away from Maniac. I'm sorry, I butcher names. It's 5 mana for a 5/5 Death Touch lifelink creature. It's 2 Abzan. It mutates for 4 Selesnya Dub Black. Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Let's just say, on turn 1, you play, what is that stupid card? Stature Supplier. Turn 2, you play Glowstone Shaman or the cool new 3-mana one. Turn 3, let's say you have to respond to what your opponent's doing. You kill something of theirs with a 3-drop. Sure. Turn 4, you play mass destruction. Maybe you play that new board wipe. Maybe you destroy another thing. Maybe you just play another creature that I can't think of right now that also puts stuff in your graveyard. Cool. Turn 5. You can play this and just have a Death Touch lifelink creature. That's not bad. Next turn, you mutate on some. You mutate something onto it. And you just get all that stuff back. It's great. I love it. I love it so much. Put it into my veins. Inject it right now. I'm playing this in Brawl. I'm playing this in Standard. I'm playing this in Historic. Yes! I love Abzan. I'm sorry. I lost the Happy. But the Happy's back. It's... I can't tell if it's good or not that it's power versus CMC. Like in Historic, for example, you can get back... Obviously, you can't actually, but you can get back 5 Chupacabras. Whereas if it were CMC, you can only get back 2. Obviously, you can't actually play 5 Chupacabras. Shut up. I'm using that for an example. Dirge Bat. I'll show you these things. This is the comic version. I like the style. I don't like the nose. it freaks me out. And this is Lava Mothra. I don't fucking know what that is. Anyway, Dirge Bat is a 4-mana 3/3 flash flying black bat. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker opponent controls. Yes, please. Mutate for 4 black. Oh. Because this creature has flash, you can flash mutate it. That's some cool stuff right there. I don't know how strong this card's going to be, but I got to tell you, anything that says destroy target creature or planeswalker on it, I like. Once again, though, I do have to point out 3 words that I really am getting sick and tired of seeing. Wizards of the Coast. Let me kill my own cards. The way to get around this, like, obviously the reason that they don't want this to say just destroy target creature or planeswalker is because if you have no other targets, you have to kill your own stuff. Say destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Up to 1. It's the same number of words. It's even less letters. Fewer letters, I'm sorry. Come on, stop taking my choices away. Getting annoyed. Yadaru Wandering Monster. Cool Armadillo Turtle. AKA Doom Eternal Godzilla with a bunch of spikes for some reason. I don't get it. Also, isn't there actually a turtle in Godzilla lore? Gamera? Is Gamera the turtle? I don't know. Oh my gosh, we're already at 30 minutes and I'm like a third of the way through. Sorry. Okay, it's a 7-mana, 8/8, trample, haste, cycling, 1 in a red. First of all, I love it. It's a dinosaur turtle. It looks like an armadillo to me. Whatever. It's adorable. It's eating shards of stuff. When you cycle it, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard. If you cycled a card named this 4 or more times this game, put it onto the battlefield from your graveyard instead. That's really interesting. The thing is, depending on how much cycling payoff we get, this could be an interesting deck to build around. Just like a cycling style deck where you're just cycling and getting cycling based value and surviving until a point where you get a sweet 8/8, right? What would be better is if Wizards of the Coast gave us Amonkhet block back that had cycling cards and cards that benefited from playing cycling, and then we could play those in Historic. I know that they're working on Amonkhet Remastered that give us all of the cards back. I will pay you so many monies. Mysterious Egg. Mothra's Cocoon is my assumption. Mysterious Egg is a 1-mana, colorless, non-artifact, 0/2 creature egg. Whenever this creature mutates, put a 1/1 counter on it. This is another one of those cards that is a mutate base. This is a card that you are meant to build onto or off of because it gives you just some overall slow extra stuff. this card might, I mean, it costs 1, right? Like that's the big bonus of it, is that you can play it early and get like immediate value out of your mutate creatures, especially if they cost a little bit less to mutate than to cast, right? Excuse me. I wonder if this is going to be good in limited, just to make sure like there's a certain density of creatures that you can mutate onto early. I don't know. My guess is no. My guess is, generally speaking, you don't want to play 1 mana 0/2s that potentially do nothing, but I don't know. Everquill Phoenix is pretty interesting in this comic version. Kind of reminds me of actual Phoenix. And then Destroyoya? I'm not even gonna try. 4 mana for a 4/4 flying Phoenix. Jesus. What is it? Why do you have to be so loud? I don't cut. It's gonna be a long ass video anyway. Most people aren't gonna be watching it, so I refuse. Alright, I'm just gonna do like one of those. Anyway, whenever this creature mutates, create a red artifact token named Feather. Sure, don't know why it's not an egg. With pay 1, sacrifice Feather, return target Phoenix card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Now it's interesting that this can hit any Phoenix card. It doesn't have to be this one specifically. It mutates cost for 4 as well, which is actually quite interesting. So not only is the mutate cost the same, it's easier to cast for mutate. And you get to put a Phoenix counter. The thing is, like, when it comes back to the battlefield from the Feather counter, you're not going to be able to mutate it immediately, right? Obviously, if you mutate onto it subsequently, then that works. That's cool. Oh, there needs to be a card in the set that has no cost, no mana cost, and you can only play it by mutating it. I'm gonna be very upset if Wizards didn't take advantage of that possibility. My thoughts on this card: it's a Phoenix. It's probably decent. Primal Empathy is a 1 green-blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Very much a blue-green enchantment. You got the green for being the biggest. You got the blue for drawing a card, and once again you have the green for making them bigger. Too slow for standard easily. Sealed, maybe. It is just a consistent make your dude bigger or draw some cards, and usually those are pretty okay. Jund Dinosaur just got a little bit better. Labyrinth Raptor is a black-red 2/2 with Menace. Whenever a creature you control with Menace becomes blocked, defendant playing sacrifices a creature blocking it. Obviously, they get to choose, but still, before, right, your opponent, like, let's say this is just the creature, 2 mana, 2/2. You attack, your opponent blocks with 2 1/1s, you get to trade, whatever. Now they can't, because one of the 1/1s would have to get sacrificed, leaving only one 1/1 to deal 1. So it's funny. Creatures you control with Menace get +1/+0 until end of turn. You can get that for playing black and red. It's an okay fire breathing. It's bad if you only have this card, but even just one other creature with Menace means that this is just a decent fire breathing. And if you have 3, then it's pretty strong. 4 is where you really like it. I've seen some people already talk about the fact that this combos nicely with one of the Angraths. Angrath, Captain of Chaos, where it just gives all creatures you control Menace. And it can just make some mass tokens. So I think you could possibly make a Menace deck, depending on how many good Menace cards are in Standard right now. I know that there's the black-red Stormfist Crusader, I think is the name. That has Menace. I think that would be decent. In Historic, oh my god, no. And that's even a dinosaur. In Historic, you have the 3-drop dinosaur that has Menace and forces your opponents to not be able to gain life and stuff. Okay, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared, yeah. Classification. Wait, just make sure. Oh. Oh, okay, it's just the extended art. Classification. It's a big cat. 7 mana for an aura, enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchant creature gets +20/+20. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that, dude? What are those? What the fuck is that? What is this? This is for like a fat pack bundle? I need it yesterday. Oh my god. Oh, ow. Ow. Oh my god, that's funny. I'm sorry, whatever creature this is. Also, I just realized I haven't... No, I had my chair lower when I was doing my taxes. This card's bad. Just go away. I'm sorry. Blood Curdle. I just realized this thing has multiple eyes. I don't like it. 4 mana instant. Destroy target creature. Put a menace counter on creature you control. This is fantastic limited removal. Like, I'm not even kidding. Limited removal in the relatively recent past has been like 5 mana and often double black. The common mana, I should say. The common removal. And this is a 4 mana 1. It's an instant, which is great. Some of them have been sorceries. And it gives one of your creatures a menace. Token, counter, whatever. If you don't have a creature, that's okay. But I think this is great limited removal. It's not going to see play in standard, obviously, because we have better removal. But still, I think this is a solid limited card. Shredded Sails. This is a Braid 0.5. It's a 2 mana instant. Choose one, destroy target artifact. Shredded Sails, or Shredded Sails deals 4 damage to target creature with flying, or cycle for 2. So, you know, it's I shouldn't say 0.5. I should say this is like side braid. Yeah, side braid. I think it's decent. I don't know to what extent we're going to be dealing with artifacts. Obviously, there's Embercleave. Kind of the Great Henge. I can't really think of too many artifacts in standard that matter. Same with flyers. Like, you technically have the Jeskai deck right now. But I've seen a lot of the big creatures you're going to play from Ikoria seem to be bigger than 4 toughness. So I'm not sure it's going to make sense there. So it's not the worst sideboard card, because even if your opponent has an artifact you want to destroy and they have a creature with flying you want to destroy, sometimes they're not going to have those specific cards. And then you can just cycle it, which is great. I don't know if it's going to see play. I don't know if it's going to have the slot. Back for More. This is a 4 black and green instant. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you do, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. It's another reanimate spell. The difference here, like, if you compare this to Bond of... I don't remember what it is. What is it? Bond of fucking the Grave or some shit? Bond of Revival. If you compare this to Bond of Revival, right? Bond of Revival is a 5 mana card that also gives it haste. Which means you're going to be able to, like, attack with it immediately, which is great. The thing is, this is an instant, and Bond is a sorcery. Right? So you're paying 1 more mana, and you get to do this at instant speed. So the creature functionally has haste. Right? The reason I say it functionally has haste is because if you do this at the end of your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to untap and attack with it. Right? If your opponent had some sort of removal, they would still be able to use it if you had Bond of Revival. Right? Like, that doesn't change. The difference, and why I think this card, generally speaking, is better, especially if you're playing the black-green version at least, is that you get to fight one of your opponent's creatures. Obviously, if they have something like Death Touch, that's not great. It's also nice that it's up to 1, but typically you're not going to reanimate something unless you can attack with it anyway. So, Regardless, I think this card's fantastic, and it is like pushing more of that black-green X reanimate deck, which is pretty cool. I like reanimated decks. Anything that pushes them away from what is that asshole's name? Agent of Treachery is good in my book. That doesn't, but I'm hoping more stuff does. Voracious Great Shark. which is very interesting, is a 5-mana 5/4 flash. Whenever Voracious Great Shark enters the battlefield, counter target artifact or creature spell. It breaches, and it eats a ship or a person. It's cool. Target, oops, sorry. Artifact or creature spell. This might be played in Control. The thing is, I'm willing to bet that this is going to see play in a later game version of Flash, because then you have Mystic Fish plus Voracious Fish, and obviously Mystic Fish can hit more things, but you know, the mana cost is not as great. The size is a lot better on this. I think it's reasonable to expect a deck that plays like 4 of those, 4 of this, some good instant 3-drops, maybe just Uro or something. Same with some good 2-drops and stuff. So I don't know. I think this has potential in some sort of Flash deck. Auspicious Sterics is a 5-mana Elk Beast for 6/6. Hey, yay! It's not good enough in my own, unfortunately. Mutate for 6, sure. Whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times that this creature is mutated. Put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. Now, you might be saying, why do I not think this is good enough for Mael? It obviously can get me extra, like, big chunguses. The thing is, it just has permanents, so you can hit lands off this, which is not great. Like, it's fine, but with Mael, you're not casting it. You're just getting it onto the battlefield with her ability. So I don't know... Excuse me. I don't know how good it actually is going to be. Yeah. In Standard... I feel like it just costs too much for what it does. Yeah, I unfortunately don't think this is going to see as much play as I think it would be cool too. General's Enforcer is a white-black 2/3 human soldier. Legendary humans you control have indestructible. So if you play this, followed up by your General Kudro, the only reason I remember that is someone mentioned, like when the Lady Kudro got spoiled, someone said something about like Lisa Kudro. I don't know who that is. I assume she's an actress, but that's the only reason I remember the dude's name. But yeah, so he's indestructible if you have him, which is pretty cool. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. This obviously works really nicely with the other one because you get essentially to exile 2 for 1. That was very loud, I'm sorry. It's 4 mana to exile, but still, this is a decent 2 mana 2/3 that makes your general that you're probably going to be play anyway indestructible. I think it's totally fine. It's also decent in Commander. Duh. Archipelagore. Hilarious. I feel like this should have been a turtle. A turtle Leviathan. Because like it holds a whole like island thing on his back, whatever. This is what the other one looks like, and it looks even more like an island turtle here, so kind of wish it was a turtle. But it's a 7 mana 7/7. Whenever this creature mutates, tap up to X target creatures, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated. Those creatures don't untap during their controls like untap stage, and this mutates for 6, sorry. And this is very similar to a lot of the other Leviathan type things that we've seen in the past. I think it's cool. It adds a little bit more Leviathans to my Leviathan deck. So, I don't know, eventually we might be able to have a full-on Leviathan Brawl deck, but for right now, it's whatever. Death's Oasis. Horrifying. This is an Abzan enchantment, white, black, green. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Once again, feeding that reanimation deck. Then return a creature with lesser converted mana cost than the creature that died from your graveyard to your hand. You can also pay 1, sacrifice it, gain life equal to the greatest converted mana cost amongst creatures you control. I don't know if this is going to go in an Abzan Reanimator deck. I feel like it's probably going to be better to just play creatures as is and spells that, you know, like do something and put stuff in your graveyard than it would be to play this. That said, I don't know. I don't know the rest of the cards. I don't know the speed of Standard going forward. I do like that this has a life gain ability. I kind of wish it said among creatures you control or creatures in your graveyard. That way it did play into the graveyard bit a little bit more, and it would mean that, you know, if you're struggling against aggro, it's possible that your big creatures at the moment aren't big enough, right? So I'm not sure. I do like this card a lot. You know, if you have you play this on 3 after you played a 2-drop that you blocked with, let's say it's a Glowspore Shaman, then you play a 4-drop. You know, the 4-drop has to die for whatever reason. You get a 2 or a 3-drop back or something. I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that you can kind of keep chaining them, especially with cards like Glowspore Shaman and Supplier. So I do like how it works nicely with those cards, but at the end of the day, is it good enough? I don't know. Round 2 fight. This is Clash of Titans, I think. 5 mana, instant, target creature fights another target creature. This does not say you control. You can have opponent creature A fight opponent creature B. And it's an instant. I love it. It costs a bit much. I doubt it's going to see play in standard. It is amazing in limited. Even if it's just a 5 mana instant speed kill spell, that's what it is. You get their biggest creature to destroy their second biggest creature, and put some damage on their big creature, especially if they've went to attack, right? If your opponent decide, I'm attacking, right? You have their biggest creature kill their smallest creature, or their second biggest creature, and then the biggest creature is now a little bit weaker, you can kill it with one of your smaller creatures. Fantastic. It's also really awesome in fight-based EDH decks, which are cool. We have some crystals. We have the Zaggoth Crystal for Sultai. I'll just go over this one and then just show you the arts of the other ones. Essentially, these are 3-mana artifacts. They can tap for one of the wedge colors. This one is black, green, or blue. And then, of course, you have cycling for 2. It's cool. I like cards like this. Is it going to say play anywhere? I don't know. There's the Savai Crystal. Savai, I like that Mardu aesthetic. Rargrin Crystal. That's the Jeskai one. I'm not seeing a lot of white here. Like, okay, like this. I'm actually not seeing a ton of black. I can feel the blue and the green. I'm not feeling a ton of black, but sure, I can kind of accept the black there. This one, this feels Mardu to me, right? We got like the plains. We got the spiky red crystals. We got like the just dense fog. I feel that. I feel the blue and the red. These magical crystals in that swirly sky, I got that. The red of the lava flow, the volcano. Not feeling the white though. Ketria Crystal. I feel all this one. This looks Teamer to me. Yeah. And then Indatha Crystal. Does this feel Abzan to me? I understand they're in a swamp. It's a little bit too much water. Like, you're kind of too low, close to the water. But yeah, I can feel the white. It's not as high as I'd like, but Call of the Death Dweller. Excuse me, what? 3 mana for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I'm just now reading this as total converted mana cost. I'm substantially less enthused as it was. No. God damn it. Put a Death Touch counter on either of them, then put a Menace counter on either of them. Obviously, you can just reanimate a 3-mana creature and give it Death Touch and Menace, which is awesome. But when I first read this, I thought it said just with converted mana cost 3 or less. I'm so sad. It's still, the thing is, it's still a good card. It's just not a busted card. It's cool. It's really cool. It's fine. Oh, I'm so sad. Horrifying art, though. Glowstone Recluse. This is a 3-mana 2/3 spider with reach. That by itself, I like it. I like the cut of this card's jib. Whenever this creature mutates, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. That's cool. That's making your already decent mutate abilities better. Mutate only costs 4. It's not bad. If you have double you have a Glowstone Recluse on turn 3, and then you Recluse it again on turn 4. It gets what, 4 1/1 counters, so it becomes a 6/7. That's not bad. It also has this dope comic book style art. I'm calling it comic book style because that's what it looks like to me. It's pretty dope. No, I like it. Shovel, Bane of Monsters. This is someone I took this from Twitter. Someone said this is the dude from Tarzan, the evil man from Tarzan. This is a black-green Death Touch human rogue. It's a 1/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on a target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and draw a card. Is this card strong? I don't think so. Is this card cool? Yes. This is the Monster Hunter. Also, the way his sword looks makes me think this is actually meant to be a nod to Monster Hunter, but I'm not sure. Lien indestructible. Rituel. Renvoyer sur le champ de bataille. Renvoyer sur le champ de bataille une carte de créature ciblée depuis votre cimetière avec une marquée lien de vie sur elle. It's essentially return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. Sur L on it. It's a sorcery. Learning social distance is great. 5 mana for sorcery. You get to reanimate a card with lifelink counter on it. This is not going to be as good as the bond that we were talking about earlier, because that bond does give haste, and haste is going to typically be better than lifelink in the majority of situations. But it is another option if you so need it or want it. Not blocked. Sure. This is a 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's blocking instead, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. This card feels very strong. It also, for what it's worth, it has cycling too. This card feels very strong. In limited for sure, because it's a cool 2-sided combat trick where if you don't need a combat trick, you can cycle it. Always great. But in a feather deck, where you can keep getting this card back, I like it. I don't play feather deck, so I don't know if 2 mana is too much for this effect, but it feels cool because you get some repeatability from it. I don't actually know, and I hope that people don't call me dumb because I don't play aggro decks. I'm talking too long. We're only like halfway through. We're like 60%, I think. Trumpeting Gnar is a 1 green-blue beast 3/3 with a mutate 3 Simic. Whenever this creature mutates, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. That's cool. It just propagates. I think that's awesome. This card is pretty dope. You can play this into one of the spiders. You get a 3/3 and you get this becoming a 5/5 with reach. Like, that's cool. Like, it's real cool. I don't like the amount of yellow in there. I'm just gonna move on. Reconnaissance Mission. This is a 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Cycling for 2. It's cool. It's an interesting thing for like ninja decks, for unblockable decks. It's cool. Oh, there it is. Jarina Kudra. Sevai Sabertooth. This is like actually just a Leona with 6 Pride. Just 2 mana, 3/1. Cat. Sure. Wingfold Terran. It was a 6 mana dinosaur. 3/6. Wingfold Terran enters the battlefield with your choice of a flying counter or a hexproof counter. This is very interesting. You get to choose a creature that is evasive in terms of blocking, or a creature that's evasive in terms of being targeted by spells. That's cool. I don't think it's good. It's a 6 mana 3/6 that might have flying. This is that shit that I do like. Mythos of Nethra. 3 mana for an instant. It's 2 and a black. Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature. So essentially this says, destroy target creature. If green-white was spent to cast this spell, destroy target non-land permanent. I know the wording on this has been confusing to some. Essentially, it is if you don't pay green-white for it, you can only destroy a creature. If you do, you can destroy any non-land permanent. And it's a fucking instant. Give this to me. This is my abs and juices right here. I love it. I need it. I'll play it. It'll be fun. Mythos of Snapdax. I still can't get over the dude's name, Snapdax. 4 mana, sorcery. Each player chooses an artifact. Don't know why I did this. An artifact, creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. Okay. We've seen stuff like this before. This is very similar to Cataclysm and Tragic something. That's Gideon on it. I don't remember what it's called. But essentially, you get to choose one thing other than lands because we don't want to blow up lands anymore. And you sacrifice the rest. Cool. It's equal because we each get to keep one of those. If black-red was spent to cast a spell, you choose the permanents for each player instead. So if you pay black-red, white-white, you get to choose for each player an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the permanents they control. Now, unfortunately, if they have one of those things, you do have to choose one, but you get to pick the worst of those. Obviously, in a deck that's meant to take most value out of this, you're going to want to diversify your things, have some artifact creatures so you can choose one or the other, have some enchantment creatures, we have gods and things, have some enchantments, and of course have a few different planeswalkers. That way you can actually get benefit out of all of these, whereas your opponents are often going to only have a couple of these. Your opponent might have a planeswalker and an enchantment, but not an artifact or creature. Your opponents might have a creature and a planeswalker, but not an artifact or enchantment, things like that, which I think I might have I said planeswalker, enchantment, whatever. So that is interesting to be aware of. This card's awesome. I love it. Monstrous Step is a 5-mana sorcery. Target creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. Up to one target creature blocks it this turn if able. This is a sorcery, which makes sense, I guess, but I don't like it. It has cycling. That, in my opinion, is better. It's bad. Proud Wild Bonder. First of all, this thing, fucking adorable. Second of all, it's a 2 Gruul human warrior with trample for 4. It's a 4/3. Creatures you control with trample, including this one, you may have this creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked. That's what, like, the Lone Wolf ability or something like that, which is hilarious on a card that isn't alone. I wonder if that was on purpose. Regardless, dude's name is Gustin. My name is Justin. That is strange to me, but whatever. It's a 4-mana 4 with your trample, and Gruul Smash Woman, the Smash Ogre, she has trample. Are there any 2-drops right now that have trample in Gruul? Probably. Questing Beast doesn't have trample, right? It has Death Touch, Vigilance, and Haste. Yeah. It's hard to remember all of the things it has. Still, if it weren't for Questing Beast, I feel like this card might be actually, like, pretty beast. If it weren't for Questing Beast. Unfortunately, I feel like because of Questing Beast, this card's just not going to be played. I mean, I think it's a cool card. I think it's a decent card. Dreamtail Heron is a 5-mana elemental bird. It's a 3/4 with flying. Whenever this creature mutates, draw a card. Mutates for 4 total mana. This is one of those good cards in Limited. Depends, of course, on how many big flyers there are, but 5 mana for a 3/4 flyer is usually decent in Limited. And then, of course, the fact that you can mutate this and get some nice draw card, that's pretty cool. Harmless Houseplant. This is Wilt or something like that. Are they growing? Oh, okay. I was a little confused about the art. So that's where people are putting their weapons, but they're wilting as if they were plants. Okay, I was like, are people growing weapons? Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Instant. It also cycles. This is this thing's version of Naturalize. There's every set has a Naturalize variant or Naturalize. This is the card for Mael right here. This right here. The fact that they put Beast on this makes me so unbelievably happy. Put Beast on things more. 2 red green for a 6/6 trampling dinosaur beast. Whenever one or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the damage those creatures dealt to that player. You're only going to get 1 per turn, but the fact of the matter is, This bad boy makes more bad boys, which makes, well, yeah, which makes more bad boys. It's fine. Technically, after the first one, it doesn't make more. It just makes bigger bad boys. Whatever, it's fine. You already have some cool stuff in Mael. With Trample, I can't, in the Mael I play, because I'm not a degenerate who just plays nonsense. I theme my, I'm so excited to play this card. It's so awesome. I love it so much. The thing is, this has an actual oh yeah. Depending on how much trample support we have, we could see a trample deck. And we have trample counters. The big dinosaur man, the 11/11, he cycles and gives trample token, right? I'm playing it. If no one else is, I am. Dire Tactics. White-black instant exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. This, fun fact, for those of you who don't know, does not matter. Sometimes you gotta lose life to gain life. Oh, this is what my Death and Taxes needed. And I have humans in that deck. I talked about how I really needed decent, cheap removal. It's exiles too. I love it. I love it. Obviously, if you have a human, you don't have to lose life. This is just fantastic on so many levels. I love it. Fiend Artisan is a Golgari 1/1 with Menace. It's a nightmare. Absolutely, it's a nightmare if you look at this art. It gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Sure. X Golgari. Tap. Sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast sorcery. If you're playing with a card like Citrus Supplier, you don't care about sacrificing it. In the late game, if for some reason you've run out of gas in hand, you know, this is going to be a large creature. Obviously, you have to debate, are you going to attack with it or are you going to use its ability? But the fact that you can just go grab something is amazing. This is a Green Sun Zenith, sort of, that doesn't matter about the thing you get being green. You can just go search for, obviously you have to sacrifice a creature, sure. You have to wait until you can tap with this, sure. But you can just get a thing that you need for that moment. And because of that, I like it. It's a mythic. It's probably going to be super expensive at some point. Cavern Whisper, another nightmare. I don't like how it's looking at me. It's a 5-mana 4/4 with Menace. Whenever this creature mutates, each opponent discards a card. It mutates for 4. Limited card. All right, moving on. Flourishing Fox is a it's a single white for a 1/1 fox. Whenever you cycle another card, put a +1/+1 counter on Flourishing Fox. Sorry. Cycling for 1. It has little children there, which is adorable, I guess. How big is that one, though? Is this like a life cycle? I think it's supposed to be showing a life cycle. I think it's supposed to be like, this is like when one of it is born, then it's a little bigger, and then it's this big, I think, maybe, I don't know. This is a cycling payoff card. That's all I was trying to say. Channel Force, I guess we know who the last Planeswalker of the set is. It looks like it's Narset. Why is Narset here? Did Narset go with Vivian to search for someone? Did Vivian have a job? I don't know, who cares? Regardless, it looks like Narset is at least playing a role in the story. I assume she's gonna get the card. It is a 2 blue-red instant. As additional cost to cast a spell, discard X cards. Target player draws X. Channel Force deals X damage to target to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Now, this is interesting because it forces you to have cards in hand already to use to fuel it. It's kind of like just like a weird flipped version of Expansion Explosion, specifically the explosion portion. And you're always going to be kind of getting a worse deal because you have to spend this as well. So, you know, if you discard 4 cards, you'll have to have 5 total cards in your hand, right? You get to redraw those 4 cards, but I think maybe this is playable in Jeskai. Yeah, maybe this is Jeskai playable. I think I talked myself into it. I feel like I'm underestimating the hell out of this card, and it's going to be pretty good in Jeskai control. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm not playing Grixis because I'm playing Fires for life. Trump Shard. I don't get it. 3 mana for a sorcery at additional cost to cast the spell. Reveal a creature card from your hand. Trump Shard deals damage equal to the revealed card's power to target creature or planeswalker. I think this card is fine. Some people in a Discord that I'm a part of don't. They think it's kind of a color pie break. It's not a break. 100% not a break. Maybe you can argue it's a bend. I disagree because it requires a creature. And it only deals damage to a creature or planeswalker, and it's based on the damage equal to the card's power. Like, I feel like that's fine. Like, they mentioned that the creature doesn't have to be on the battlefield. That doesn't matter. We've seen other cards like this. Copy. I just realized that's not going to work. No, I didn't think so. I'm doing this because I want to. So we have gaining life equal to a creature's converted mana cost, sure. And then of course we have disaster radius, which is very similar to this, except this deals damage to your to all creatures. So, you know, it's different. We see that this isn't really in anyone's wheelhouse yet. This is specifically a dragon. I don't count these. This I'm also not counting because it's like Weird Eldrazi. So before now, we've had literally one in Jund, right? One in each of these. All of them being during like Zendikar block. So at this point, we haven't really had this being tied to something. And I feel like this is CMC. This I think is CMC, yeah, and this is also CMC. But because this is specifically power, like I don't see this as an issue at all. But let me know if you disagree. Mythos of Vadrock, my boy Merchants. Spoiler card. 4 mana for a sorcery. Mythic deals Mythos. Gosh. Deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and/or planeswalkers. If white-blue was spent to cast this until your next turn, those permanents can't attack or block, and their activated abilities can't be activated. Notably, if you hit planeswalkers, their loyalty abilities can't be activated. They are still activated abilities. I mean, 4 mana for 5 damage is decent. Obviously, you can't hit your opponent's face, but still, that is a good rate. If you have the ability to pay white and blue for it, cool. You can make it so that those things can't attack or block. If you're playing like a Jeskai aggressive deck or something, you can, deal like 1 damage to all your opponent's blockers. They can't block anymore. You hit them for lethal. If you need that one more turn to set up your combo or something, and your opponents have some annoying planeswalkers or something, or you're just going to die to other creatures, this helps as well. Yeah, I think this card's pretty interesting and very versatile for both aggressive. I think this is decent in aggressive control and combo decks. Aggressive because you can swing through, control because obviously you can survive, and then once again combo because you can survive. These are commander cards, which apparently aren't. Sorry, I'm annoyed. Which apparently aren't coming to Arena, and they're not going to be legal in Brawl or Standard, which is super confusing because of the fact that the Brawl precons were, all of the new cards were playable in Standard and came to Arena. And I don't know why, if they're tying this so much into Ikoria, why they would change that. And for what it's worth, I don't know with 100% certainty that that's the case. That's just what's been indicated to me. Regardless, I'm going to talk about these cards, I guess, through the lens of just Commander. Otrimi is a 3 black, green, blue Nightmare Beast, 6/6. Cool. Mutate for 1 black, green, blue. Trample. One of this creature deals combat damage to a player. Return target creature card with a mutate from your graveyard to your hand. So you'll be able to continually mutate. Don't know what that was downstairs, but this music is also creepy. It just sounds like whispering. I don't like it. Apparently the cat is like on a plant or something. So sorry about that. Depending on how many good mutate creatures there are in this, kind of determines how often or how likely you are to play this as your commander. It's kind of strange. Calamax, the Storm Sire. I love this card. I have a Riku deck that is, I have 2 Riku decks technically. One that is a creature reflection and one that is a spell reflection. I know creatures are spells. Shut up. Instant sorcery reflection. It's not as catchy. This is going into spell reflection. It's cool. So it's 1 green, blue, red for a 4/4 elemental dinosaur. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Calamax the Stormrise is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. When you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Calamax. That's cool. It's a instant copy deck. I like it. It's cool. Jirino Kudro. I assume daughter of other Kudro. General Kudro, I think is just what he was called. She is a 1 red, white, black Mardu human soldier, 3/3. Other humans you control get +2/+0. I just realized she's more aggressive than her dad, which is weird. The compassion is what keeps us human. Yeah, this part may... So, for what it's worth, I've read the flavor text already. Like, before I read this part. This is confusing to me, because I would expect that that would care about that, but whatever. When she enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone of this game. Notably, this says you've cast a commander, so she still works if you haven't... If she's not your commander, but she obviously works a little bit better if she is. That hair seems a little too taut for me, but whatever. She's cool. I would like to know if she's playable in Standard or Brawl. Like, I'd like to know definitively, and I would also like that answer to be yes, because otherwise Wizards, what are you doing? Gavi Nestwarden is a 2 blue, red, white, 2/5 human shaman. You may pay 0 rather than pay the cycling cost of the first card you cycle each turn. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur cat creature token. Here is why I'm super upset if these cards aren't going to be in Standard and or Brawl. 1, this is a really cool cycling matters card. 2, this card goes into a deck that already exists, which is the second draw card, the second draw deck, and it gives you a decent benefit. Sure, it's a 5-mana 2/5, but I'm just annoyed. All right, I'm just sad. Catheril Aspect Warper is a 2 white, black, green nightmare insect for it's a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a flying counter on any creature you control. If a creature card in your graveyard has flying, repeat this process for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. Then put a 1/1 counter on Catheril for each counter put on a creature this way. Sure. I've never, ever liked these cards. 1, because keywords change. They don't change frequently, but they do change. And I would have just, like... I wish that Wizards would kind of, like, have a floating errata for all of these cards that essentially said, like, any keyword, and they just determined these are our keywords. Like, these are just the things that are evergreen. Like, these are just evergreen keywords, and they count for all of these. I just don't like that they're inconsistent. You know, Menace is relatively new. Some of the older cards that have this exact ability, not this exact ability, but like this ability, they don't include Menace, and that sucks in my opinion, but whatever. Card is a card. I don't like these type of cards. I don't like it. So we're going to Mythic Spoiler. One of the main reasons I don't use Mythic Spoiler that much is because it's not as crisp to me, but whatever. Anyway, Keep Safe. It's a 1 blue instant to counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. Draw a card. Good for combo decks. Moving on. because it's been an hour and 15 minutes and my throat hurts some fierce. Obosh the Burrower is a 3 Rakdos Hylian Horror companion. Each non-land card in your starting deck must have an odd converted mana cost. So this is the opposite of the Leviathan Horror. Or is it a Nightmare Kraken? I think it's a Nightmare Kraken. I think this is a Hylian Horror. That was a Nightmare Kraken. No, it was a Demon Kraken, dumbass. So that one was even. This one's odd. Whenever a source you control with an odd converted mana cost deals any damage, double that damage instead. It's interesting. It's not going to see play in Standard because it costs 5. In Historic, it's also not going to see play in Historic because it costs 5. Well, I'm sorry, Nick Sylvia, but you're here, so I'm going to talk about it. Red Black Sacrifice main board is already almost all 1 and 3 drops. If you forego Crocs and Priest of Forgotten Gods, gems in your sideboard. Possibly, my issue is it costs 5. It just costs 5, and in an aggressive deck, which I think Red Black Sacrifice is meant to be, I feel like this is not the best. Well, you know, it has to be each. It has to be each. And I feel like Dreadhorde Butcher is just like too good to pass up. Same with Croxa. So I'm not sure. I love it. Riel the Everwise is a 1 blue-red 0/3 human wizards. I'm dying. She gets +1/+0 for each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards for the first time each turn, draw that many cards. So that's cool. She's another way to work with cycling, because when you cycle for the first time, you're discarding a card. You get to draw a card for the cycling, and then you draw a card for her. Also just goes into the draw 2 deck. Really cool. That deck tends to have a lot of instant sorcery cards in the graveyard. I think this card's pretty awesome. Is she going to see play in Standard? I have no idea. It's Sharknado. It's Sharknado. 6 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. Cycling. X 1 blue. When you cycle Shark Typhoon, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. If you have to, you can just cycle this for 2 mana, 1 and a blue. You get a non-shark. You pay 3. You get a 1/1 with flying, sure. But at a certain point, you can pay 6 mana. So that whenever you cast a non-creature, you get sharks. Oh, I have to make a meme deck with this card, don't I? Who am I kidding? I'm going to enjoy making a meme deck with this. And last but not least today, holy my throat, Mythos of Braucus. 2 green sorcery. If blue and black was used to cast a spell, search your library for a card and put it into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. So, 2 green is a double regrowth. Return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. I guess it's not actually regrowth. Up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. This is a sorcery, this is an instant, this one costs 5, sure. If you also cast blue-black, you get to search your library for a card, just 1, and put it into your graveyard. So, you get to sort of tutor if you used blue and black. It's decent, sure. Definitely gonna go into Muldrotha, I think. Both in Brawl and Standard, or Brawl and Commander. But that I can't take anymore. That's all for now. My throat is dying. Anyway, I'd like to thank my patrons, especially Zen. Support by like, comment, subscribe. I'm dying. Until next time, all will be one.